A parent doesn't have to die in order for a child to feel grief. A child could grieve the hugs that were never felt, the phone calls that were never made, the games that were never attended. And sometimes they can carry that grief while their parents are still living. My name is Eddie Presley, and this is why I created 2 minus 1 equals 0. Way too often, when we find ourselves in the conversation about parenthood, we find ourselves in this endless battle of, do you feel as though the father is more important, or do you feel as though the mother is more important? When in reality, neither of those is true. They're both critical elements to a child's healthy development. And that's what 2 minus 1 equals 0 is all about. It's bringing back the acknowledgement that although there are healthy children that grow and live prosperous lives when they're raised in a single parent household, that is not the ideal situation. Because when a child loses a healthy connection, everybody involved loses something. And no, this isn't about keeping together unhealthy bonds. I'm not saying that two people that have found themselves grown apart have to stay in a toxic relationship for the child's sake. What I'm saying is that the child needs both people to still play critical parts in raising that child together, even if that's separately. But let's talk about the cause of conflict. And conflict that has to be either two or more sides of opposition. In this particular case, you have the mother's side and you have the father's side. A child is completely incapable of living on two different sides of conflict. So at some point, the child is going to feel like they have to choose. So what does that look like? I don't want to go to mommy's house. I'd rather stay at daddy's house. Or I don't want to go to daddy's house. I'd rather stay at mommy's house. All a child processes is, mommy was sad, it's daddy's fault. Daddy was angry, it's mommy's fault. A child very rarely remembers what caused the conflict. What they remember most is how they perceive you to feel and how that made them feel. Then we enter the realm of intentionally forcing a child to choose sides. Now, we're all human, so sometimes we make human mistakes. And this could look like speaking to your child as if they're your friend or even your therapist. Your child doesn't need to know that you refer to the other parent with whatever obscenities that you choose to use. This can cause your child to try to prove their alliance to you, or from their perspective, prove their love. And way too often, not in all cases, but there are cases where that love gets taken advantage of. That love gets weaponized in ways that its sole purpose is to draw a wedge between that child and their other parent. And through this, your child has now entered a war that they didn't ask to be a part of. And they're taking on a level of hatred and remorse that one day they're going to grow up and realize that's not truly the way that they felt. As I stated before, this doesn't have to be intentional. We are human. We do make mistakes. But as parents, we owe it to our children that we grow past those human mistakes. Growth is a crucial part of a child's development. And I don't mean the child's growth. That's obvious. I mean the parent's growth. We have to set the example that our children will later live by. We do this by holding ourselves accountable. It is our job as parents to present the best quality of parents that we can to our children, because that's the least that they deserve at the end of the day. So how do we hold ourselves accountable? We first acknowledge that we need to heal. So we all know that relationships can get messy. And sometimes ending those relationships can get even messier. So how do we heal? There's many options. There's therapy, there's communication, there's mediation, or simply you could just take the steps to become more emotionally mature. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give our children has nothing to do with money. Sometimes it's just becoming healthier than you were yesterday. 2 minus 1 equals 0 has never been about judgment. It isn't about choosing a side. It's not about pointing out the flaws in anyone else. As I stated before, none of us are perfect. 2 minus 1 equals 0 is about building a village. People always ask me, what is the village? What does that symbolize? The village is any combination of parents, grandparents, peers, teachers, coaches, mentors. Could even be your pastor, depending on your religious beliefs. The village is anyone who's willing to lend a hand in ensuring a child has the greatest chances at a healthy development. There's an African proverb that says, it takes a village to raise a child. The village isn't there to replace a parent. No one ever can replace either of the two parents. The village is solely there to provide assistance for families coming together to raise a child. This mission doesn't come from something I read in a book. It comes from my real life experiences as a father and conversations that I've had with countless parents. Some of those experiences I'm not ready to share publicly yet, but what I will share is this. Children deserve a healthy upbringing. If you've ever felt the impact of family conflict, or if you wish the adults in your life would handle things differently, or even if you simply feel that children deserve better, I invite you to join the village. You can join the village using the link in the description. And if this message resonates with you, please take a moment to like this post, comment, share your story. We'd love to hear it. And please share this with someone who may need to hear this message.